Hello traders, welcome to MyForexFunds YouTube channel. For those who don't know, MyForexFunds is a prop firm which is looking for successful traders. It assists traders and it helps them grow so that we can grow together. Today in this video, we will be hosting one of our funded traders, Richard, to talk about his trading journey and his experiences with us as a funded trader. Also, he will be giving us awesome suggestions, so let's get started. Hi Richard, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Thank you, I'm doing great, and thank you very much for being with us today.
And thank you for inviting me today.
Thank you. It's our pleasure. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing your story and we will be talking a lot about it. But first of all, as we always do in our interviews, we would like to know you. So please let us know a bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm 37 years old, based out of Nova Scotia, Canada, and I am
Mhm.
a full-time professional trader.
Yeah, that's great. So let me ask, how long have you been trading and what got you into it?
I've been trading for 7 years now, and
Mm-hmm.
what got me into trading, I was originally solicited by a online broker,
Mm-hmm.
and with a small account, which I blew up within a week, and then it intrigued me to go a bit further, and
Mm-hmm.
here we are today. So
Wow, that's good.
the
So
rest is history.
mm-hmm. So how was your learning process? I mean, did you take any courses or did you learn it by yourself?
Yes, I was able to find a well experienced online mentor that
Mm-hmm.
showed me a lot of the proper mindsets to have in regards to trading. It was more psychology based
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
some technical, but it was basically finding something that aligns more to your personality and your trader type,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and where to set your stops in regards to that as well. Like if you're an
Mm-hmm.
aggressive trader, you
Yeah.
should aim for a little wider stops opposed to somebody that is less aggressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. You're lucky to find a good mentor because a good mentor really sheds light on your path and, makes your learning process quicker. But of course, it
Yeah.
only happens when you find a good one.
Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. It definitely did shorten things down. Probably
Mm-hmm.
why I could have shortened it more is if I found the right strategy that worked with what his
Yeah.
information was a little sooner, but everything's a work in progress. So,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So Richard, let me ask you, is trading your full-time job or is it an additional money source for you?
yes, I'm a full-time trader. I also own a couple businesses aside from this, which other
Mm-hmm.
people run, but I have a full-time dedication to trading. And I also trade with my own capital, but I like the prop firm gig. I think it provides a lot of benefits to any trader, whether you've been
Uh-huh.
trading for years or not. So,
Mm-hmm. So I would ask that. So you started with your own capital and then you start trading with prop firms, right?
yes, for the
Okay.
extra capital, like some traders, they get big
Mm-hmm.
accounts and they don't think funded accounts are worth the bother, but to me, they are. So it's
Yeah.
always worth it to have the extra capital, especially
Mhm.
with technology now, where you can mirror a lot of your trades over onto
Yeah.
uh,
Mhm.
other accounts, and it kind of makes things pretty easy and painless that way. So why not?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, speaking of prop firms, let me ask you how you ended up with my forex funds. I mean, were you introduced by a friend, or was it something you just search for search on in the internet, or and would like to know more about it?
Yeah, it was Google search actually.
Mhm.
I look for top prop firms. I already trade
Mhm.
for another top prop firm, and I was looking for somebody a little bit similar. And I
Mhm.
looked you up, and you guys actually have a slight edge over the other guys, and
Mhm.
that got me interested. And here we are.
Okay. Yeah. Good. So, how long have you been trading at my forex funds, and how has been your experience so far?
I've only been here for a month for one payout,
Oh.
and I'm rolling over into my second one, which is actually a
Oh.
lot bigger than my first because I have
Oh
two
my
accounts
God.
now.
Mhm.
And it's been a great experience. The payouts are speedy fast compared to the other guys, and So when you're going through that challenge process, getting your
Mm-hmm.
verification and all that, um, you get your credentials right away immediately, which
Yeah.
I think is important because you only have 20 trading days in a month
Mm-hmm.
to capitalize on the opportunities you see. So, time is valuable in trading, and
Yeah.
timing is valuable. Like it's not always about rushing to the next trade, but your timing for certain things you're waiting for,
Mm-hmm.
you may lose if there's a day or two lapse, like for your
Mm-hmm.
payment processing or getting credentials in that.
Credentials.
So
Yeah.
that is
Mm-hmm.
is a very big deal for me anyway, and the way I trade.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when I hear such compliments from our traders, I feel really lucky and happy to be a part of such a great team.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it really made me think a lot of the company because they're really thinking about the trader on the trader's behalf. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yeah,
good.
be
All
good.
right, so let's move on with the next part where I'll ask about more your payouts. So please let us know about your latest payout. And you said that there is an upcoming payout, so please tell about their amounts.
I have an upcoming payout for 34,000 and change before
Wow.
uh, before commission is taken off.
Uh-huh.
And my other payout, I think, was around 20K, uh, and then commission came off after that. And
Yeah. Oh my God.
so
Yeah,
we're
that's
rolling along
impressive.
here.
Yeah, that's impressive. Wow. So congratulations for both.
Yes, thank you.
So have you received this payout from a singular account or multiple accounts?
The first payout was from a single account, and
Mm-hmm.
the second one is from two accounts.
Uh-huh. Okay. So the first one is 75% of your profits, right?
Pardon?
So the first payout is from the first profit split with your live account. I mean, it is
Yes, yes,
75% of
correct.
your profits.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
from one live account.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's amazing. Congratulations for that. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
So now we will go on with the part where we will kind of talk about your trading style. First of all, let me know what type of a trader you are.
I'm an aggressive trader, and I
Uh-huh.
trade on the 15-minute, 1 hour mainly. I can do swing trades as well,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but my personality types, I like to stick to the 15 to the 1 hour.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, good. So do you watch the market all day long, or how often do you check the markets?
It depends on where I'm at in the quarter and where my monthly goal is, where my quarterly goal is.
Mm-hmm.
Some I mainly trade New York, but if I'm a little behind on the month, then
Yeah.
I will squeeze London in there and try to capitalize on opportunities there just to lock in the capital for the month.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, got it. So my next question would be about the pairs you trade. So do you trade multiple pairs, or you just kind of stick to one that you are good at?
Yeah, I trade gold only because it
Mm-hmm.
has all the volatility you could ask for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's two-way volatility, I find, more so than Forex pairs.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
normally, yeah, Forex pairs are, creep one way, creep the other. Gold is up and down and whipping around and doing
Mm-hmm.
all kinds
Yeah.
of fun stuff. So if you
Yeah.
can know where to jump in at the right time, it can be beneficial.
So
And
most people, yeah, go on, please.
I think every experienced trader, they want volatility. And right now, in gold, it's there, so I don't really have a reason to look elsewhere. But if the volatility changed, then I would definitely have to adapt to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
trading a different pair.
Yeah, I would say that most people might find it very risky because, as you said, it is highly volatile. But
Mhm.
as you are an experienced trader, I think you love it.
Yes, absolutely,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So was it always like that? I mean, were you always trading only gold, or were you trading at different pairs too?
No, originally I started out trading pound USD
Mm-hmm.
and pound yen,
Mm-hmm.
and then I scrap those for gold
Mm-hmm.
because that gold worked a lot better for me. Some people
Mm-hmm.
prefer to trade multiple pairs, but it's all on what works for the system you've created or the system that you've been trained for. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. Got it. So, can you mention a bit about your strategy you use? For example, do you look at technical analysis or you use fundamental news? Please let us know about a bit about your strategy.
Yeah, I'm a technical trader. I like
Uh-huh.
to stay away from the news
Mm-hmm.
because technically, looking at it in my perspective, it just creates a lot of liquidity
Mm-hmm.
in the massive moves it does, and I not something I'm looking to get caught up into. So
Well, mm-hmm. So, would you comfortable with like showing us some of your best winning trades so that we can understand more about your strategy?
yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, what I look for in technical analysis is a peak formation at
Mm-hmm.
either the high of the day or the low of the day, or what I perceive to be that anyway, based on the thesis that I have calculated, based on timing and price area. So if we're on the 15-minute here,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this area right here is a peak formation that happened at the high of the day or near the high of the day that London had locked in, and I
Mm-hmm.
took that trade in London and ran it for 100 pips down, and that's running with a 1-to-1 stop loss and just managing the trade.
Yeah.
Because what I find with gold is it can give you some whipsaws, 30 pips or whatever. So I just keep my stops 1-to-1 and then just really get used to or train my mind to really manage the trade
Yeah.
really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had another rejection here at the 500 level, again in New York. Uh, and I trade within the first 3 hours of the market open. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
to venture too far outside of that because the volatility is questionable and it's hard to put probability behind it if you're trading on the smaller time frames.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to stick to that 3 hour window. I don't trade within the first 45 minutes because I want to see what the market is going to do first.
Yeah.
And then I'll take a trade within the last 15 minutes of the um, first hour, or in the second hour, or in the third hour.
Mm-hmm.
And for a technical confirmation, I'd look for some kind of a rejection when a peak formation is being developed, some kind of a rejection either at the 500 level or at the 100 level.
Mm-hmm.
And like right here is a rejection on the 15-minute. And then I would get on the next candle when we came up to the 500 line right here. And then as we came down, where this happened to be the high of the day and the end of the week. So what I was looking at this as is this is our weekly wick area,
Mm-hmm.
this whole zone, this 100 pip zone. So because we're at the high of the day and potentially the high of the week, I am willing to scale in a little more because we are also correlating on the 4 hour to a resistance area right in here. So giving all those confirmations, the minute the next candle breaks this candle, my entry
Mm-hmm.
candle, I will scale in with more size and uh, go from there and see how the trade runs. I normally am looking for it to run for 45 minutes to an hour and a half, and
Mm-hmm.
I will watch the momentum accordingly to see whether it's worth holding or whether I should just get out, uh, maybe with a small profit or a small loss, just to really manage the trade. Because once we step outside that 3-hour window unless we're at end of month or just different little scenarios that are that of an experienced trader, which I also
Mm-hmm.
look at. But I'm just talking about the basics here. Is I want to stay within that 3-hour window to
Mm-hmm.
make sure I'm in the window of volatility and
Mm-hmm.
I catch the right side of it. And if I don't, that's perfectly fine as well. Like when I trade in with my second position to control my risk a little more, if I put a lot of size on it, I will just have my stop above there on my second position to
Mm-hmm.
deal with my risk a little bit better. So
Mm-hmm. So, do you remember what was your risk percentage for this trade?
the risk percentage for that trade, I think, was 1.5%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, you like trading when there is volatility in the market. So, what kind of risk management strategies do you employ?
Risk management strategy is a 1-to-1 our
Mm-hmm.
ratio, and then if we were to print another candle,
Mm-hmm.
per se, this candle I got in here on the last 5 minute, I'd break it down on the 5 minute to see what this candle, get an idea what this candle might do,
Yeah.
and then if we end up formulating a candle to the upside with a lot of momentum, then I would
Mm-hmm.
just get out with a 30 to 50 pip loss from there because the probability has went out of it. But if we just wicked up and came down in the same candle, then I would just hold the trade, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I indicated there, gold can tend to give you these long 50 pip
Mm-hmm.
wicks, like you see right there
Yeah.
where my mouse is. Like that's a pretty good little wick that can get you out of the trade. And I
Mm-hmm.
find if you want uh, a high winning rate,
Yeah.
then you're going to have to set your stops 1-to-1, 1-to-2 at the most. And statistically, that's how the market runs. Is that with 1-to-1, you increase your probability a lot more, especially if you're an aggressive trader, because you're going to get in maybe a little bit earlier than you should, which is
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
perfectly fine because your analysis could all be there. You just have to widen your stop because you may be in just a hair too early. Uh, and then you can really think about in your post analysis ways how you can or how you could have managed the trade so you didn't lose as much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
After you're already going with your system and it's proving out, you have a probability of 80 to 100% a lot of the time, sometimes 90. Um, and then you can look to see how you can save on your losses. Because I'm a firm believer in doing one thing or one specific thing quite well, one trading system, and just sticking with that and
Mm-hmm.
not trying to jump around into a whole bunch of different types
Yeah.
of
You
trading
mm-hmm. You keep your strategy simple and
and
stick
create
to
really,
one.
yeah, and create really good habits.
Mm-hmm.
And I find the more simple you keep it and sticking to one pair, you can kind of understand the algorithm a little bit better that runs in there to be able to have really good discretion on that trade to manage it even better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I find each pair has like its own personality. It'll move in a certain rhythm, which would be, the algorithms of the bigger money that's involved in the market,
Mm-hmm.
which you're trying to be on the right side of. And mainly, I like to take short positions because you see how volatile they are
Yeah.
coming
Exactly.
down the opposite way. Like I find with gold in particularly, for some time, it'll give you like a little trickle trend up going bullish, and then you'll get a
Mm-hmm.
rejection if it's in a certain area, and it will happen very quickly. And so if you have things calculated well, you don't have to keep your money on the line for long.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just in and out. and it gives you all kinds of opportunities, more than you need really to hit your target for the month, and a lot of opportunities to put size on as well. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of how I do it. In terms of another form of risk management that I do is I have a soft target of the first 2 weeks of the month to make my monthly goal. And then
Mm-hmm.
the last 2 weeks are just if I don't. So that way I'm managing psychology is that, okay, I got 2 more weeks. So I'm not putting myself in the time compression.
So what
Instead,
happens? Sorry, what happens if you achieved your goal in the first weeks? Do you trade? Do you continue to trade, or do you stop it?
in the first week,
Yeah.
it would depend on where I was at in my quarter. Like if I was in my first month of the quarter, I would push the needle. I would maybe uh, trade for the next week, and I could possibly be up halfway to my target just in the
Uh-huh.
first couple weeks of the quarter, and then I have a lot more time to play with. I wouldn't go over half my goal. I would just once I hit half, I would just walk away. Whether it was 2 days after or a week after, I'd just walk away at that point, and then
Mm-hmm.
in the next coming months, I would look for opportunity to actually make a little bit more than my goal. Uh,
Yeah.
but I would make sure I have my goal hit within, ideally within the first 3 months if I can. And then the last month, I can be very stingy and try to take
Mm-hmm.
different opportunities
Yeah,
not
I
to
get it.
jeopardize my capital and try to make a little bit more than my goal. But I
Mm,
think with like managing a funded account, I think for more of a rookie trader, what they don't understand is that you're working with a drawdown. So that's in one sense your account size, for
mm-hmm.
like say a max capital, base capital of 600,000, that you're working with 60K a
Yeah.
risk. So if you just humbly go along and you make uh, the bare minimum to be scaled up for more capital, which is 2.5%, then you're actually doing 100% on your drawdown every 3 months. And statistically, the average pro trader makes between 40 to 80% per year. So if you're hitting that target, you're well above. And
Mm-hmm.
it can kind of give you a general idea of, in the early stages of where you're at and how not to overreach for too much and, then lose your account. And because time can go by fast if you blow an account and then you don't have that experience to get it right back within the 2 weeks or whatever the bare minimum is. You can be 3 months getting it back, and all of a sudden time is passing by, uh, and you're not extracting capital.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Richard, you look like a very calm person. So, how do you take your losses, or what do you do when you miss a trade?
Missing a trade is just fine because I know the opportunities that are there. That's why I like the lower time frame, because
Mm-hmm.
it seems to be more abundant.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of traders that'll say, the most money can be made on the lower time frames if you trade it well. But
Yeah.
it really depends on how it aligns to you, because there's scalpers that do well, there's fundamental traders that do well, there's swing traders that do well, and if they were to do a different way of trading, they wouldn't do well. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's really on what works best, but I find the lower time frames to be the most abundant and have the most opportunity in my perspective in the way I trade. Now, other trading setups may not. It may be the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
It may be something that is better suited for a higher time frame. But uh, for a newer trader, I think the most important thing is finding something that really aligns to you, and you'll kind of have an instinctual knowing, what you like in the market, and that'll be it, and trust that, and expand upon it is what I would recommend to newer traders,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
understand your risk threshold, and go by a general guideline of what is not going to blow your account up, and then expand upon that. Should I be doing less? Should I be doing more? And just align it to yourself, because over the 7 years of trading,
Yeah.
I've been curious about a lot of other traders, because in my personality type, I like to know what makes everything tick. And based on my assessment, they all have a certain way they trade, and they do it so well that they swear it's the only way to trade, when in fact it's the only way to trade for them, but not for everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And and try to find what works for you, because what works for one person certainly doesn't work for another.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah. Mm-hmm. I totally agree. All right, so as a final question, let me ask, what would you suggest to the traders who are maybe doing good, doing really great, but they are actually struggling with consistency time to time?
Struggling with consistency goes back to uh, how I spoke about my risk management, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
breaking your goals up into the quarter, because I know myself, trading early on, I would have an expected goal, and then as time would uh, waste away, there's a
Mm-hmm.
sense of urgency there that doesn't benefit you. And just to have a certain goal set out in a very relaxed manner, so that you're not trying to reach for too much at the last moment, and
Mm-hmm.
set realistic expectations of what you should ask out of the market. Like, if you look at the statistics, it's 40 to 80% a year annual return for the average pro trader. That means some are well above, some are well below. But as a newbie, where do you think you should be? In that, and
Mm-hmm.
and how does that tell you in regards to what you're reaching for and what you're trying to ask out of the market? Because
Mm-hmm.
the reason there's that difference is because there's different experience levels, there's different skill levels. If you start off with a small amount, and and stay consistent with it, it will really give you a place to blossom from, and you
Mm-hmm.
can keep growing from there. And another good place to blossom from is only take one, maybe two trades a day, uh, and not to allow the market to exploit your psychology to any degree. You can really have a lot of thought about the mistakes you made, because
Mm-hmm.
like the post analysis I don't always do, because a lot of traders know when they're in the trade what mistakes they've already made. So you already know in your head. Post analysis I'll do only when I look to see how could I have managed that trade and got out of that trade with less of a loss, if it was that
Mm-hmm.
type of scenario. But not every trade I'll do a post analysis. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're only taking one or two a day, it really gives you a lot of room to breathe and be a lot more well calculated, and come back with a fresh mind the next day. Because there's nothing worse than if you've taken 10 losses in a day, if maybe two or three of them were a win, but you put yourself in a huge drawdown. Well, psychologically, the next day you
Mm-hmm.
don't have a fresh mind, and you got a lot you have to stomach through. So you're creating a lot more psychological burden for yourself. And I've seen a large online mentor, preach this to traders as well. And the feedback from that, from the mass majority, is that their trading in general improved, whether they were a new trader, or a well experienced trader. Is just to humble yourself down. And in my perspective, the market really doesn't know the difference between greed. It doesn't know the difference between your greed and or ambition. Like, you can
Mm-hmm.
try to hit a huge goal, but then put yourself way too far back, because every time you step in, you're always putting risk on the line. The more,
Yeah.
like, the less fresh mind you have, that is putting a risk on the mind. And nobody really looks at it that way. The more fatigued you are over time, the worse it is. Like, you could trade for 2 weeks straight, 3 weeks straight, and not have any fatigue you think you know about, but you take a week off and then come back and see how good it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one of those things that kind of creeps up on you, that fatigue, because your desire is there and your ego is there, like I could keep doing this, but if you learn to just step away for little increments of time, you'd be
Mm-hmm.
surprised at how fresh you come back, because every loss is a bit of like it's never a great thing. Like you learn to become better at it and you desensitize to it at two levels, but you don't want to desensitize completely, because you have to maintain a level of vigilance within the market that
Mm-hmm.
like you have to always be a little bit on edge with a level of vigilance, not to become reckless and over risk and over trade.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, actually, I really agree with every part you said, every word you said. Especially, sometimes we take revenge trades and it happens to lose again. It ends up losing again. And yeah, it actually decreases our motivation again. So maybe, as you said, only taking one or two trades per day may be helpful for us. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it
hmm
definitely, logically speaking,
hmm
it really doesn't allow you to have your psychology exploited, and then really practice on the emotional process of it's a loss, but it's okay kind of thing, and
hmm
and really somehow find a way to be a great loser in a sense. Like it's a bit, some people just say it's a business expense, but it's not always that easy in trading, because it's money, and statistically people are more attached to money than anything. So, even when they say they're not, like I've mentored people and they said, no, I'm not attached to money at all. And then when they get in the game, they,
hmm
subconsciously somehow they are, because for whatever reason, the statistics are correct. And I've
Yeah.
seen it play out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to try to keep yourself a bit mindful of that.
Thank you very much for your incredible talk. I hope it's going to be super motivating for the ones who watch this interview.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure to be here, and thank you for being such a great host.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I really appreciate your time you took for us. Thank you very much for watching this interview. I hope you'll like it. Please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. If you are one of our funded traders and would like to do an interview with us, please get in touch with our support team so that we can organize your interview too. We would love to hear your story. Thank you again, and happy trading.